So we have a marriage proposal at the very end of the episode, and of course, Catholi agrees. So nothing bad can happen, right? Like, I mean, they're gonna get married, they're gonna live happily ever after, of course, said no one. I mean, I love that there was that marriage proposal. I'm a sucker for romance, I'm a sucker for sappy romance, but boy, it's almost like they took a knife, and they've been slicing into our arm all throughout the season. Like, it's been very minor cuts. It's not like we have a big flesh wound, but it's enough that you can feel the pain. It's just the full blunt of the pain has yet to come. And then this episode, teared open our arm, poured a bunch of salt, and sewed it back up, and then they're ready to cut it again. Because we know this marriage isn't gonna work out. Not because they don't love each other, but because shit's gonna hit the fan either next week's episode or the final episode. You see it coming, buddy. I'm just worried. I mean, if we actually got a happily ever after ending, I would be the happiest ever. Because, like, it just seems so obvious, but I love it for that. But this episode of SukaSuka was a fairly good episode. The title says it all. Humanity has a pretty dark secret here. And ever since the reunion of Willem and his friend, it's been speculated, like, what was he hiding from Willem? And it seems like, now we don't have the 100% confirmation, but we kind of do all at the same time, as one of these dug weapons is only able to be used against humans, but the fact that one of these fairies has been using it against the beasts and killing them, it's more or less confirmed that these beasts are made from humans, and that kind of matches up with civilizations disappearing and everything like that. So for Willem, the fact that humans are the ones that are causing so much suffering for the ones he's loving and caring for, that's a hard hit, and I think how he used that, just like, he can't lose anymore, and that proposal, I thought it was well done in terms of, like, getting that kind of through, and him just shattering, realizing that he needs to be able to break to someone, and the best way to do that is to have someone he loves as a wife. So I actually really liked how they handled that. But I mean, I think I do remember seeing some people speculate that the beasts could be humans or something like that, which it makes total sense here. I myself wasn't, like, actively thinking of it because it hasn't been put in the forefront here. It's mainly been Catholi losing her memories. So I thought it was interesting how they brought that back, and I mean, that's a hard hit, being the last human, and the fact that humans, as you know it, are pretty much the reason that is causing your friends to die, that's not easy to take. But the episode before that was a fairly entertaining one. I mean, there was some cheap comedy, and there was some cheap sexual innuendos. I mean, I've never been a fan of how, like, he needs to give a massage to remove, like, the poison from their bodies. Like, yes, it has a explanation on why it is, but it's just there so they can have cheap fan service scenes of, oh, girls moaning because he's giving them a massage and it feels really good and he's getting embarrassed. Like, even Fate Stay Night in the visual novel did the same thing, where literally they have a sex scene just so they can transfer mana around, but it's like, there's other ways to write it than just being cheap fan service. But it's like, hey, it is what it is. Luckily, it wasn't too much in the forefront. It's a noticeable, just like, okay, can we just fast forward past this? But something that I actually really enjoyed was the fact that Catholi, like, when she first gets on the ship, everyone's just, like, kind of mocking her, like, she's just some whore, just some prostitute, and they're, like, teasing, like, oh, do we get around with you, something like that. And then she really starts acting like, kind of like a maid in a way. She cleans up the place, and then she gets all these people who are kind of tormenting her on board, helping her out. I thought that was kind of nice and just kind of sweet. Like, instead of just getting flustered, getting Willem to help her, instead she just took authority to her own hands. She started showing her, hey, I'm more than just some sex slave, pretty much. So I actually really liked how they handled her character in that moment. But the fact that her mind is shattering, even though they got that sword, the sword's just not going to get to her in time in terms of them realizing how to use it or something like that, or maybe just like she won't be able to use it, something like that. Everyone can probably see that the redhead girl is the person from Willem's past. Like, I think the character design just looks so similar to the one we saw back in the day in a flashback. But then again, anime characters have similar character designs a lot of times, so it's easy to get them just kind of mixed up. But I mean, it's probably pretty damn clear that the person from Willem's past that he fought with is the memory that Catholi's kind of fighting away. And the whole, like, flashback scenes with her mind shattering. Like, I feel like that's just the obvious way, and the fact that this series hasn't really shown us, like, it hasn't had any really unexpected twists, in my opinion. There has been some things like, oh, I didn't think that was going to happen, like, even with the humanity being beasts, but at the core, you can see a lot of this stuff coming, the fact that probably Catholi is going to lose her memories, or she's going to die before the marriage, things like that, or ultimately that Catholi's, like, spirit that is trying to, like, pretty much fight for control for Catholi, more than likely is someone Willem knew in his past. Like, all that stuff is very predictable, but it's all about the execution, and so far this series has been perfect with the execution of getting most of the emotional swings right. So I have total faith that if they go completely predictable, that everyone sees everything coming during the final episode, it's all about that execution, and I have total faith that they're going to handle it perfectly. It's going to be sad to see the series go, but I've been having a blast these past 10 weeks, and I can't wait to see what episode 11 does. there's not too much more to dive into. I thought just how they layered all the new reveals. I thought the heartwarming scene at the very end, which is obviously a death flag waiting to happen, and just the comedy and antics overall was interesting. But that sword, even though they found it, I don't think it's going to be of much use. But hey, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. How did you like the episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you think it was just okay? And before you leave, smack that like button to show your support. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.